All right, everybody, we are live. I am Coach Dennis Stoica with Modern Air Warriors. Welcome back for another amazing podcast. Darryl Edwards today, extremely. Did I say extremely special? If you have not seen his TED Talk, which we'll talk about here just real quick too, right? You got to go on YouTube and you got to look it up, and you will be forever like, I got to know more about Primal Play and who this guy is. So, hey, Darryl Edwards is a former investment banking technologist turned movement coach and author. He's the founder of Primal Play Method and a physical activity, health, and play researcher. I love the way that's described because that's what we do in the dojo too. Like we're scientists, that's our laboratory. So, like whether it's indoors, outdoors, physical activity, health, and play researcher, right? So studying and moving and experimenting still and talking with people, fantastic. After almost 2 decades working as a technologist in investment banking, Darryl transformed his health after adopting a back to basics approach to well-being. As a health and movement coach, Darryl now advises people on maintaining a healthy lifestyle amidst the epidemic of obesity and other chronic lifestyle diseases. He regularly represents as a keynote and motivational speaker at academic, clinical, health, promotion, and corporate events worldwide. Darryl's April 2019 TED Talk, Why Working Out Isn't Working Out, discussing the issues with physical inactivity and why most humans hate to exercise, has now been viewed over 1 million times. Darryl's the author of the best-selling books, Animal Moves, which highlights why humans should move like the animals we are. Inspired by the book's success, he launched a 30-day online course and created a range of fitness decks which have shipped to over 40 countries. They're amazing, by the way. The Animal Move fitness decks are fun. Fitness cards for adults, juniors ages 7 to 14, and infants even 3 to 6. They're for office workers, fitness professionals, and more. In late 2020, he released a children's book called My First Animal Moves. Darryl's work has been published in leading national and international press such as Men's Health, Women's Health, Top Santé, LA Magazine, Men's Fitness, and the Daily Telegraph. And he's been featured on BBC documentaries Eat to Live Forever and Doctor in the House. He's also appeared in the full-length documentaries Love Paleo and the Human Longevity Project. His work has also been highlighted in the New York Times best-selling book Grit and Grace by one of the most successful music artists of all time, Tim McGraw, and in one of the UK's best-selling books of 2018, The Four-Pillar Plan of the UK's leading TV doctor, Rangan Chatterjee. Darryl resides in London. It's late there already for him, so thank you for being on our podcast today.
Oh, you're welcome.
And he publishes about living a healthy, playful lifestyle at primalplay.com. Hey, sometimes I think like people's bios are like, wow, it's really long. Can I shorten it? But not this one. There's a lot going on. Author, play researcher, you have programs put together, you have certifications for people. So amazing person. Who is Darryl Edwards, and what is your why, purpose, passion, and principles, Darryl?
So Darryl Edwards is a 52-year-old man who is very happy to embrace their inner child. That's exactly who I am. It took quite an arduous road to get here, from being a kid who loved movement, loved being outside, loved playing outside with their friends, hating when their parents said, "Hey, it's time to come in for something to eat."
Yeah.
I relished movement as a kid. And then as soon as movement started to become serious, i.e. trying to get onto the sports team, having to do the training that was required to stay in the sports team, having to, train for qualifiers to try and, do sports at the city level, for example. So I realized I started to fall out of love with movement when it became more prescriptive, when it became more structured. And so when I became an adult, I pretty much stopped playing. I pretty much stopped moving because I had a sedentary job after university. And I had health issues as a result of living a sedentary lifestyle. And so me encountering the fact that movement was medicine, that
It
movement could
is.
help to to manage a lot of the symptoms that we regard as being just a little bit older, right, or genetic.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that movement was important, trying out the workouts of the day and the workouts in the magazines, and just not having a sustained practice.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, sustainability in movement was always difficult, right? I had the enthusiasm, I had my New Year's resolution, I ate the same way that the cover model on the fitness magazine had,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't getting the results necessarily, and also I wasn't. There was no joy in that pursuit. Yeah. So that's
And and this is so common because whether it's group fitness classes that I run with the self defense and fitness, right, or jujitsu and striking, these are pieces. They're things that we do, right,
yeah.
integrated. I promote doing a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, if you're the coach and you want someone to run, but they hate running, right? What I always ask, what can you do? What do you want to do? What excites
Mm.
you? Like, did you used to swim when you were a kid, right? And can you still swim? Can you do things in the water? So it's about finding what you love, right? And what you'll actually be dedicated about, and to do on a daily
Yes.
basis, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed. Yeah. It's you've got to find what motivates people
mhm,
for sure. But again, if you have this childlike curiosity about movement, you realize that there are many things I did as a kid that I didn't enjoy, that I hated doing. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of concern as to whether I could do this or not, right? And so the
mhm,
difference between a childlike approach to movement and an adult one is it's easier for an adult to say, you know what, I don't like cardio, I only like lifting weights. I love cardio, don't like strength training. It's easy to make that decision. But as a kid, you're going, you pretty much ask yourself, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today with my peers that explores not only what I can do, but what I can do within this environment?
mhm.
And so we miss that as adults. And so for myself, not being, I don't like running that much, for example, but I like chasing, right? So I like playing games of tag. I like playing games like Chase a Jogger. I see a jogger like 300
Mhm.
meters away, at a steady pace. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's time to sprint, guys. Not to the point of scaring the jogger to
So
death, but
we do some of this too sometimes in the dojo, Darryl, right? So
yeah,
sometimes during our warm up, we do high knees down the side, right? We turn inside, we do lateral movement, and sometimes they say, "Okay, now catch up to your partner, hit him in the back." Right?
yeah,
But it makes it fun, right? Sometimes
yes,
there's
yeah,
hard work, sometimes it's fun, sometimes you have to make jokes about it, right? To make the hard fun too, right? Awesome. Hey,
yes,
we're gonna move a little
exactly.
bit for time, and we'll hit more and get more in detail in some of this. What is it like? I mean, your job description, a physical activity, health, and play researcher. I mean, who else has that title?
Yeah, I mean, it just excites me. I'm
Yeah.
passionate about it, and
Hmm.
my mind is stimulated by diving into the research.
Hmm.
I don't just want to do something and go, oh, that was interesting. I want to know why I had the response that I did, whether it's cognitive response, whether it's a physical response, whether it's an emotional response. I want to understand why. So, especially with something like play, which we certainly associate with childhood, we believe we grow out of, and play is not that important for adults. Whereas actually, if you look into the research, you see that play opens up the opportunities for us
Hmm.
to move. We there's more creativity, there's more joy. So even the difficult things. So for
Hmm.
example, a kid climbing a tree. One of the things we used to do in the autumn, right? Apple season, and we call it scrumping here in the UK, right? Apples are out on
Hmm.
trees. You could have an apple tree in your garden, in your back garden. Couldn't care less. What you wanted to do is to go to a neighbor who is probably a little way away, right? Climb over their fence, get a leg over, somebody over. You get all of you get over. Somebody climbs up the tree. Somebody's shaking the tree. You're catching apples. and then you're almost waiting for the owner of the trees to go, oi, you know.
Get out of my
So not
tree and run
advocating,
away.
yeah, get out of my tree. But the fact is, there's a lot of fear. It wasn't easy to do, to climb, 14, 16-foot fence to get into
Sure.
somebody's garden, to be chased sometimes, to be carrying, a few kilos of apples. So we forget sometimes that a lot of what we did as kids was very, very
Yeah.
difficult. And so as adults, we can switch on and off. It's like we get into hard work mode,
Mhm.
right. I'm going to focus on technique. I'm going to focus on what I need to do to get this done.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was a kid, right, I tried to piggyback carry my mother when I was 8 years old, right? She
Mhm.
weighed a lot more than I did. I didn't just say, "Oh, that's too hard. It's more than my body weight." Like it's one and a half times my body weight, and I'm not really sure if I'm up to it or not. It was just, I
Yeah.
reckon I can do it. Let me give it a try. And so kids have this approach and attitude to,
Mhm.
I reckon I can give this a go, and if I don't succeed, it's not a problem.
Not a problem. And,
Yeah.
and this is the thing too, right? So you kind of hit on this a little bit too. As we get older, our we other things happen, right? We're not just a kid anymore.
Mm.
Maybe we have jobs, we have families. So many people in law enforcement that come on the job. They're young, they're healthy, they work different shifts. Their food starts changing, things change in their life. They get
Mm.
married, right? Or I get divorced, or I have kids. Or working different shifts. People get busy, or professional athletes, even, right? When they're done
Yes.
with their career, they gain weight. They're no longer exercising. So it comes down to a lot making it a choice, making it a lifestyle, right? For
Mm.
what we do too, making it playful,
Making it playful.
but still doing what we do. All right, let's move on. Um, Movement is medicine. If you look at both of us, right, in here, 50 and older than 50, feeling young, looking young. I do things, and I'm sure you do too, right? Like I might as well have the 20-year-olds and me. We're back to back, right? We're doing
Yeah.
the same things in the gym, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Movement is medicine, helping not only to prevent diseases, right, such as, I mean, there's a good list here, right? If we're not moving, you have more chance of what? High blood pressure, cancer, cardiovascular disease, dementia, gut health issues, inflammation in our body,
Yeah.
insulin resistance, mental health issues, stress, anxiety, more than that, right? Obesity, just in
Mm.
general,
Mm.
sexual function can cause issue with not exercising. Eventually, sleep, stress, type 2 diabetes, and more, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So movement can prevent those types of things, but it also helps, right, with physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual wellness, well-being, doing
Yes.
those things too, right?
Yes, for sure.
Um, so talk about why adults and kids are not exercising or moving when all these things can happen, right, to us. We know that these things can happen to us, right? We know that if we do it, if we're motivated and we're dedicating ourselves to do it on a daily basis, we can see those results,
Mm.
right? But maybe again, I'm in the wrong program, right? Maybe I'm doing it's. I don't like it. So how many people like this is now April 1. How many people have already quit the gym? Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
from the New Year's resolution. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
can you add? What can you add? Why are they know all this, but it's just not getting done?
Yeah. But, exercise is like a supplement. It's like a substitute for the lack of physical activity we would have got in our day-to-day lives,
Mhm.
you know, millennia ago, right? Back then, we had to move. There was no choice. You had to get your food. You had to build your shelter. You had to protect your family. You had to work together with a group of individuals to get those things done, right?
Mhm.
And if
Yeah.
you didn't, you would perish. So now in the 21st century, most of the things we need, we can get at the click of a mouse. So I can get food delivered to me. I don't have
Yep.
to source it. I don't even need to go to a shop, a supermarket
Mhm.
to decide what foods I want. I can click a button. I can get it cooked, prepared. The only thing I probably can't do is get somebody to feed me, but that's going to come, right? There's going to be an
Yeah.
app for I don't know what it's going to be called, but there's going to be an app where it's like, hey, do you want somebody to feed you? You know, it's going to happen because convenience is something that we cherish now more so than at any other time in
Mhm.
human history. and we're more sedentary as a result.
Yeah.
And because of that physical inactivity and sedentary behavior, we're suffering from a lot of ailments, not just for prevention,
Hmm.
because unfortunately, most of us are not just focusing on preventing chronic disease. Most of us are suffering from one type of ailment or other,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
the wonder of movement being medicine is, if you have high blood pressure and you start to exercise, you'll bring that blood pressure down.
Hmm.
If you're dealing with type 2 diabetes and you've got elevated blood sugar, movement can help bring that
Bring it
down,
down.
right? If you've got
Yeah.
systemic inflammation in your body, if you've got arthritis, movement can help to reduce that inflammation, right?
Hmm.
So I think the prevention message, in some respects, makes it difficult for people to embrace when they're young, healthy, don't have any issues. But
Hmm.
as we get older and some of those things start creeping in to many of our lives,
Yeah.
we go, oh, it's too late now. I haven't been able to prevent this happening. And
Mindset, though, right?
yeah,
Part of what you're doing too is mindset. Uh, so what is the primal play method? What type of movements are there? Length of the workouts? Small implements that might be used as well. Maybe the fit deck cards that you use explain right a little bit. And one of the things I love, right, is I say this. That's on my website. I promote it, right? Getting maximum results with minimal equipment in
mm,
minimum time.
in minimum time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, I love that. I mean, the primal play method has three pillars: evolutionary biology. How were humans, evolved, designed to move, right?
Mhm.
What makes humans who they are through movement. We also have exercise science, which tells us what happens to our bodies when we move, right? So we have all of this evidence supporting why we should be moving, the duration of activity we should be doing, the intensity of the activity we should be doing. That's all there in the literature. But third, and that's probably my main focus, is the play psychology. So it's taking the things that we should be doing because we're humans, the things
Mhm.
that we should be doing because we've got exercise science telling us that it works, but we've also got a way to make that hard work and that discipline kind of easier to swallow. So that's the area that I kind of focus on. I don't want to be rolling down a hill and saying, "Hey, I'm playing," or blowing up balloons and popping the balloons and, "Hey, I'm playing." I want to be fit, strong. I want general preparedness. I want to
Mhm.
be able to lift and carry and to climb and to jump. And so I want all of these movement capabilities that are primal. That's what I'm looking for from the primal play method. But I also want to make it playful, because then if I'm doing something for 5 minutes and I hate every second of it, I may not want to choose to do it again.
Mhm.
But if I
Absolutely.
love it, that 5 minutes can
Mhm.
become 15, 20, 30 minutes. And I haven't even noticed
Mhm.
I've been engaged in that activity for that period of time. So play enables this kind of compression of time,
Mhm.
where something which, if you just focus on, oh, I've got to do this, oh, I've got to get to the goal, I've got to get to the end. When you start focusing on the process, you're just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm experiencing. That's what the
Mhm.
play aspect of what I do brings to the table.
Awesome. Type of movements. I know some are animal type movements, or
Yeah.
maybe the length of the workouts. Maybe the fit deck cards. Maybe mention something on that for the listeners, so they have an idea if they go online
Yeah.
and
So
to look at some of that.
animal moves are really important, because
Mhm.
if we mimic other animals, right? So if we look at the best of the animal kingdom, you know, cheetahs for sprinting, kangaroos for jumping, or fleas for jumping, even, if you look at the strength of an ant lifting
Mhm.
like 1,000 times their body weight, right? Humans cannot compete with the best of the animal kingdom in terms of, singular disciplines, right? We're
Mhm.
poor. We're very poor. Probably the only thing we're the best at is the fact that we can do all of those movement patterns that other animals can.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
can climb, we can carry, we can jump, we can sprint, we can walk long distances, right? We can crawl. So we have all of these movement patterns, and my job is to instruct people who want to follow the prone play method to do all of those movement patterns. So
Awesome.
crawl
Yeah.
like a bear, jump like a kangaroo,
Mhm.
right? Climb like a monkey, right? Lift like an ant,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's not a dumbed down prescription. because we're playing out. It's like, right, I want to know I want to know how strong I can be today. So for me, one of my greetings might be a fireman carry. I see a
Correct.
friend, I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
you know
we
what?
do them too.
Yeah, exactly. You put a
Hmm.
bit of weight on, mate. Let me see if I can still
Yeah.
let me see if I can still carry you. Let me see if I can fireman carry you and sprint with you on my shoulders, right?
Hmm.
Let me see if I can piggyback you. Hey, let me see if I can piggyback two people.
Piggyback,
Yeah,
fireman's carry, bridal carry,
bridal carry. Yeah,
baby carry, right? All
yeah,
different
yeah,
types of
exactly.
carries.
All different type of carries. Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, if you look at animals, so do koala carries, for example.
Mhm.
You're doing a bear crawl and somebody's like literally
Yeah.
kind of straddling
Underneath you.
underneath you, and
Yeah.
so there are so many options
Yeah.
when you
Awesome.
broaden your horizons, and it makes your training become sort of three-dimensional, right? You're thinking about all of these complete mechanisms of movement rather than just
Mhm.
thinking, right, just sagittal plane, just forwards, just up and down. Actually, no, there's rotation, right? There's being on the ground. There's quadrupedal movement, moving on all fours,
All fours.
you
Yep.
know, which is incredible for coordination.
Mhm.
The brain's engaged. So the first time I did a bear crawl, for example, I was an absolute mess. I thought I was fit. I was like, I'm doing all this fitness, but yet I can't crawl a couple of
Yeah.
meters without collapsing. So
Well, I can tell you, you can be in the Marine Corps and have to do bear crawls backwards upstairs too. So
yeah,
it's
exactly, and
good.
that's
I mean, hey, it's
and
right.
that's
It can
that's
be
a real
done.
test. It's a real
Yeah.
test. I
Yeah.
feel of fitness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bear crawl up the stairs again. You're doing it on the flat, and you go, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I can cover 50 meters, no
Yeah.
problem. Okay,
Yeah.
right, do that backwards. Just do 50 meters backwards. It's a
Yeah.
completely different
Complete
proposition.
different ball game.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the stairs, right?
Mhm.
Bear crawl up the stairs, incline. Do it decline when you're like, oh my goodness, like, especially if you've got a pack on your back, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
The pack's kind of like taking you,
Oh,
wanting
taking
to
over. Yep.
gamble
It
down the
does.
stairs.
Yeah.
So again, this experimentation in your work, this exploration, right? You're like, let's not do one thing. Let's not just spend 1 to 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30
Mhm.
minutes, changing the duration. So sometimes it's longer form.
Sure.
Sometimes I play out for 3 hours.
Awesome.
I'm out in the park. I'm like, hey, I
Mhm.
want to climb a tree, right? Hey, let's try and climb that fence. Let's balance on a rail. Let's sprint, right?
Mhm.
Let's play chase a jogger.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Let's do some bear crawls. So you're working all energy systems, stamina, endurance, power, speed, you know, cardio, more
Mhm.
resistance based. So
Hitting a lot
yeah,
of disciplines within the workout too, fantastic. And
yeah,
just before we came on live, I discussed too. Like I do one very long workout a week too, right? Which covers
mm,
durability, strength, stamina, work capacity, mobility as well
mobility.
too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, awesome stuff. All right, we're gonna move on for time. There's 12 pillars of health that you promote. I'd like you to maybe discuss one after I read them here
Mhm.
for our listeners and just pick something that comes to mind with regards to it, right? But the 12 pillars of health are following the sun, living slowly, interacting with nature, sleep deeply, manage stress appropriately, avoid toxicity, eat naturally, engage with the community or community. I'm big on that too, right? Breathing deeply, living purposely, moving naturally, and playing wholeheartedly. You can go online to see this. It's on the website as well too. I'm guessing um, we could probably have a whole nother podcast just on this question, right? So,
Mhm.
hey, if you can pick maybe one thing, and then just like why is it important? Why is it one of the 12 pillars of health, and why is it so important for us?
Yeah, I'd probably say moving naturally uh, in the context of this podcast, because
Hmm.
there are many ways for humans to move,
Hmm.
and 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 if you just focus on one or two abilities that humans have, then you end up just walking for your exercise, or just lifting weights,
Hmm.
or just doing run, bike, swim, for example, right? And you specialize in those activities,
Hmm.
but not realizing you're deficient in
Yep.
many other aspects of movement. And so running further, faster, longer, whatever it is not going to give you the same benefit as double body weight deadlift.
Yeah.
It's not. So combining combine
So,
lots of different movement repertoires naturally
and
as we navigate.
that's why we're integrated warrior training. Integrated
Yeah,
meaning we work strength,
yeah.
right? The big heavy deadlifts or squats or whatever, right? Working work capacity, something done really hard for 10, 12, 15 minutes, working stamina, something long term, 30 minutes or longer. It could be a long ruck, right? And durability
Yeah.
can be a long ruck or run, carrying people, things of that nature, carrying a stretcher, 6 people carrying one person, all kinds of
Mm,
craziness, right? So, all right. I'm going to move on here for time. We're getting a little short. What advice do you have for the beginner? Whether that's a woman in her 40s that wants to lose some weight, or whether it's
mm,
just young kids, someone maybe police, military who are out of shape.
mm.
What advice do you have?
Um, Take baby steps. I would say just think about, rather than thinking about one big block of work that you're probably going to put off because you never have the time, right? Because life gets in the way.
Mhm.
Think about those small moments during the day where you're taking small movement breaks, or as I call them, movement snacks. So rather than one big meal of movement a day, you just take these brief moments throughout the day where you can integrate lots of different movement, and that way you're more likely to see it as part of your day
Mhm.
rather than seeing it as something you have to find time for. You realize the time is always available for you to do something.
Something.
Yeah,
Take the stairs, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
simple as something like that too. So I
Yeah.
call them midday rituals. Depending whether
Mm,
someone's wearing a suit or who knows whatever. Too, we can all stop to do some deep breathing. We can stop to do some push-ups, pull-ups, squats, and
exactly.
just whatever we can
Squats,
do. Get up and
take the
move.
stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think another good thing to add, I know you only asked for one, is
Yeah.
avoiding convenience. If
Yes.
everyone just avoided convenience and said, you know what, I'm going to take the stairs rather than the elevator.
How
You
about
know what? I'm gonna, yeah,
walking up the escalator?
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Walking up the escalator and just standing there and letting it walk you. Right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
if you just think about, oh my goodness, I recognize now
Mhm.
that this is very convenient for me, and I love it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what you want to get to the stage is where you go, actually, I don't want to love being sedentary. I want to start
Yeah.
loving the path that isn't well trodden, right?
I love it.
So how many
Sp-
times do you see, 100 people queuing to get up the escalator, you know,
Yeah.
where the stairs are free, and you're like, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna take the stairs. I'm gonna get out of breath. People are going to be looking at me going, why is that guy taking the stairs when he could just be taking the
Yeah.
escalator? So those options are always going to
Mhm.
be available to you, and it may only take a minute, 2 minutes, but it's going to still be far better than you going
Mhm.
a minute or two doesn't count.
Yeah.
It all counts.
So in addition to the beginner, what about the experienced person? What advice do you have for the experienced person, with the Primal Play and yourself, your experience as a researcher, et cetera, for that experienced person?
I would just say make your movement as broad and as varied as possible.
Yeah,
Incorporate as many things as you can. Do it if you can. Do it socially because you're more likely to do more
with a
likely to be
group,
encouraged in a group,
community.
and in community. I would also say don't just focus on competition, but also focus on collaboration and cooperation. Because again, if you collaborate and cooperate, you're going to achieve far more than what you can do individually. So those would be my areas of focus as somebody who's an experienced mover, into fitness, has done a lot of things. It's like, especially as we get older, right? We want to be reverting to our childhood self in the sense of
Mhm.
curiosity. Like, okay, what can I do today? You know what? I can't do that, but I can do this.
Mhm.
I haven't done that
Sure, sure,
before.
sure.
I wonder what that's going to be like. you know, I'm always doing this. Let me do something different and challenge myself.
Mhm.
So I think the challenge shouldn't just be this one thing that I do. The only way to challenge myself is to do more of that, faster or harder or for longer. It's let's widen the scope, and let's increase our repertoire of movement patterns that we have. So
Mhm.
I would say to finish that point, I want to be a virtuoso in an orchestra where even though I'm not going to be the best at a particular instrument,
Play
if
all
the
the
conductor,
instruments.
yeah, if the conductor says, "Hey, Dow, you know what? You're going to have to sit in for
Yeah.
the cellist,"
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can be like, "Yeah, I can do it. I'm not going to be as good as the cellist, but I can at least do I can at least play a little bit
Hmm.
and fool fool
Yeah.
everyone around me, right? So
Cool.
that's what I would rather be driven to be a generalist of movement, to play, have a play at everything, and by doing so, the health benefits to you, the fitness
Hmm.
benefits to you, are going to push you
Yeah.
ahead of somebody who only focuses on that one thing.
Hmm. All right. Just a couple questions left. We're really right on top of our time. Tell us about your books, the two books that you have, your online courses, your certification, kind of where you're at now, and where do you think your business will be beyond what you're currently doing, like 5 years from now? Have any other plans maybe they have or not? That
Yeah,
you're working
so yeah,
on?
Animal Moves basically talks about moving like the animals we are,
Mhm.
and I have a whole range of products from that one book. So I have a 30-day a course that goes for a 30-day program of animal movement. I have Animal Moves fitness decks
Mhm.
from very young kids to adults. I have a second version, like a sequel to the first deck for adults. I have an office-based version for somebody who's either sitting or standing in the office, and it's like, hey, I want a quick
Mhm.
movement snack. So I have all these products available. In terms of where my business is going to go, there's going to be further education. There's going to be more talks and discussions, more books, and really more encouragement
Encouraging. Yeah. Promoting.
to get people to recognize there are other ways, right? So I suppose in many respects, my job is not to convince fit people to try other forms of fitness. My job is to get those who don't want to exercise, who hate, they've signed up to the gym and have
Mhm.
never been even
Yeah.
once.
Those that
That's
have
to
quit,
try.
those that have
Yeah,
already quit the gym like last month in March or February, everyone
exactly in
signed up for the
February.
gym. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was the same person. So
Mhm.
so now people always assume, oh, you've always loved
Mhm.
movement, you've always been to move. Look at all the things you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I've had to really convince myself it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And I've had to find a way to make it sustainable for me. And so that's what I realize is my passion and my craft,
Mhm.
is convincing people almost subliminally, like a
Mhm.
magician. There we go. I'm like a magician of movement, right? You're looking here, hey, I want you to get you to do this, that, and the other. And you're like, oh, that's really difficult. And then I'm like, actually, the real magic
Is over
is
here.
over here. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so this is how I can encourage you
Yeah.
to do
All right.
things that you never thought were possible.
So primalplay.com, best place for people to go.
That's the best
Right.
place to
Very good. All right.
go.
Make sure everybody understands primalplay.com. And we'll finish up with a question that I love, and it's going to be awesome. And I might change this actually. I'm going to get. I'm going to last minute. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you two last questions.
Okay.
All right. If you could be any superhero, what would it be?
Ooh, any super. You know what? It would have to be Superman,
Okay.
which is a bit of a cop out. No, no, no,
It's
no.
okay.
Actually, Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
Yes,
All right.
because I want to be Clark Kent because I still have all the abilities of Superman, but no one would know.
All right. So here's part two to this. Then this is cool. All right. So with your animal movements, if you could be any animal, what would it be?
Right, Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah, it'd
Why?
have to be a cat.
Yeah.
Um, Graceful, speed, power. Um, they tend to they don't hunt in packs. So they're brought up in packs,
Mhm.
but then when they've got to do things by themselves, they're capable to do it alone. So that's what I would choose. I was going to say cheetah at first. Problems with cheetahs are, even though they're the fastest land animal on the planet, right?
Mhm.
They can only they can only do that for about 3 or 4 seconds, and they can only do it for 3 or 4 attempts. So if they're not successful with their hunt, they deplete so much energy that it's game over for
Done.
them. So that's why I didn't choose a cheetah.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Darryl, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Anything last minute? If not, we're gonna call it for today. Everybody, primalplay.com, please, please, please. Darryl is awesome. He's amazing. He's fun, right? And it's about having fun. So hey, until next time, you know the drill, right? Train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you in the next podcast with another amazing guest. Thank you, Daryl Edwards, primalplay.com.
Thanks so much, Dennis. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Hang on just a minute. We'll keep you as we end. Thank you, everybody.